Hi, my name is Tim Gernand with Gernand Law, thedbalawyer.com, and today I wanted to discuss some of the injuries that we see frequently with civilian contractors overseas and making Defense Base Act claims. The first one that comes to mind is psychological claims. A lot of our federal contractors have been exposed to very traumatic, disturbing scenes, imagery, sounds, of course, as a result of wartime or war zone exposures, whether that be in Iraq, Afghanistan, or other locations. We're most familiar with Iraq and Afghanistan. However, these kinds of traumatic events can occur anywhere in the world, whether that be you witnessed a workplace accident, for example, in countries such as Kuwait and Qatar, Djibouti. These are countries that are considered outside of an active war zone, yet you will have things happen there that can be very war zone. Recently, Qatar was subjected to bombing. Kuwait has been subjected to either bombing threats or air raid sirens have gone off there. And that has triggered the memories of some contractors who have developed PTSD from elsewhere earlier in their careers. Perhaps you experienced war zone exposures in Iraq, Afghanistan, or elsewhere, and then you moved on and tried to avoid those direct war zone exposures, and you went and served in a place like Kuwait, Qatar, Djibouti that was kind of off the front lines. Yet things happened there that continue to exacerbate your PTSD stress or anxiety condition. And so those are some of the types of injuries that we can see. Of course, if that is the case for you, you would need to have that verified by a licensed psychologist or a psychiatrist, and they would need to run testing on you to verify that this is in fact a particular mental illness or issue, psychological condition that you're struggling with, and then they should be able to diagnose you with what that is. And then, of course, it's important that whatever that is, that they relate it to your time overseas, if that is in fact what happened in your particular situation. The second, most frequent thing that you might see is traumatic or orthopedic injuries. So this would be, you broke your leg in a workplace accident, or you simply strained your back from lifting heavy things so frequently. These are typically injuries that you will see reported first overseas to the workplace because it's something that just happens immediately right there. You have to go and report it to your supervisor or someone because you're simply not able to perform your job the way you were before. Now, in some cases, there could be a delayed response, but generally that's not what we're seeing. Unlike with psychological, where there could be a delayed response as a result of your psychological injuries. The traumatic or orthopedic can involve a large number of injuries to various body parts. But for both of those, psychological and the traumatic or orthopedic injuries, there's a specific form that you can use, OWCP form, which if you contact us, I will send you that form and your provider can fill it out. If your injury does fall under the three forms that the OWCP or Office of Workers' Compensation Programs has established, then that can help you establish your claim just because that's a form that the Department of Labor is familiar with. So that's something I encourage my clients to do. Hearing loss, that's something you'll see frequently because, of course, while you're overseas, you've been subjected to loud noises, traumatic noises that can damage your hearing, and that can be either from direct war zone exposures or simply from the loud noises that accompany working near generators or other loud equipment. And so, of course, that's something that will be verified with an audiologist, have your testing done. And then, of course, you can get not only the compensation that you get, which is a scheduled injury for hearing loss. So there's certain percentages. So that will be a defined amount that you would receive, but then also your hearing aids should be covered as well. And then the final one that I would say that you'd see most frequently would be either pulmonary claims and that ties in with cancer as well, because these are both claims that generally have to do with the toxic air exposures for which contractors are exposed to overseas, including burn pits. Of course, we know from the research that the VA has conducted that working near or around the burn pits overseas was highly toxic for veterans. toxic for contractors, anyone else who has been working over there. And there is a specific pulmonary OWCP form that you can use for that as well. So that's something that we can talk to you about and see if your provider is willing to connect those dots between the injury that you're experiencing now, the pulmonary injury, or unfortunately, if you're experiencing cancer, connect those dots to your exposures overseas and specifically your work as a contractor overseas. So that does it for just some of the biggest buckets of injuries. Of course, there's many others, can't list them all, that would take all day, but that's just some of the ones I wanted to go over today. My name is Tim Gernand with Gernand Law. We practice exclusively DBA claims. Website is thedbalawyer.com. The email and phone number is in the description, and you can also use that phone number with WhatsApp if you're located overseas. Look forward to working with you if you have a DBA claim. Thank you.